So this was the Chain Lightning build I presented to you guys that you could swap to in early Torment and get to level 100 with. This is my Chain Lightning build now. Oh yes. Hello, my fellow sorcerers. Today we have something very, very special. In every single sorcerer build I have released since the start of the season, after the initial early Chain Lightning one to leverage axial conduit to make early Torment easy, I have been getting a lot of comments along the lines of, where Chain Lightning update? Can I have a Chain Lightning update? I would like endgame Chain Lightning, please. And I have heard you. But endgame Chain Lightning, to achieve what I have achieved here, which is literally infinite mana Chain Lightning. Like, I can't stress how ridiculous that is. Chain Lightning with axial conduit is designed to drain your mana. It's designed to be unsustainable. It's designed so that you have to carefully manage that little blue globe from not going too far up or down so you can actually do damage. Whereas now, haha, Chain Lightning, Chain Lightning, Chain Lightning, Chain Lightning, Chain Lightning, Chain Lightning. Who cares? You have infinite mana, you can just spam out as many as you want, just hold that Chain Lightning button down, watch the novas of lightning spam out on the target, and crush everything with untold millions and millions and millions of damage. The DPS here is hilarious. This is Tormented Beast in Ice. He's dead. He's dead now. He's dead. So I really cannot overemphasize nor express how much A, powerful this is, and B, how much fun it is to play. Because let's be honest, the main downside with Chain Lightning was, yeah, having to carefully manage it to do good damage. Whereas now you just don't. You just play it like any other build and just cast the main skill as hard and as often as you can, i.e. hold it down. This opens up a whole world of pain that makes this take on Chain Lightning one of Sorcerer's, I would say, 4 or 5 best builds of the season. And while it's not going to reach quite the same heights as a fully min-maxed Exodia level geared Winterglass Splintering Energy that I pioneered the other day, it's going to come damn close, still very much capable of walking through a tier 8 Nightmare hordes without any kind of effort, still very much capable of doing your pit 101 in like a couple minutes. Just look how fast the boss dies. And that's the thing to really be applauded, because boss damage is something that Sorcerer tends to struggle with, and while no Sorcerer build this season is a pure boss smasher, this certainly comes close. And past that, I mean, it's just incredible to see in action, right? The bajillion Chain Lightnings going everywhere. You can sometimes reach up to 10, 12 Chain Lightnings out at once. A lot of the time they'll explode before that happens, but it's just glorious. It's a visual treat, and it's an incredibly autopilot farmer for hordes. Because the Chain Lightnings are just automatically going between you and enemies, you don't really even have to aim. You just cast Chain Lightning, and then everything around you dies passively permanently, and it's beautiful. With the most efficient farm currently being tier 7s, yeah, this really is one of the premium builds to get that job done and have untold thousands of Neath Iron for all of your Masterworking needs. So how actually is infinite mana on an intensely mana draining build achieved? I'm glad you've asked. So, when I was initially leveling with Chain Lightning, one of the things that I first looked into and started playing with was this little gem of an aspect here. It is Starlight. Every time you heal for a percentage of your health, you get a big chunk of mana back, boosted by Resource Gen, of which Axial Conduit has a load on by itself. This is promising, because this works even if you're at full health. So, I was playing with WONT, i.e. every enemy around me is giving me massive amounts of health back, as this was buffed hugely in Season 5, so you would get loads of mana back every second when this ticked. Which was fine, right? But it wasn't enough, because ultimately, even if you get full mana refill every second, that's still only every second, whereas we're spending a lot more mana than that a lot faster. So it was a good basis. Then we have the real breakthrough hero, the Affix life on hit. Every time you deal damage counts as a hit, so every bounce of chain lightning, every explosion, every one of the hundreds of numbers a second that you're seeing is a hit. So as soon as you have life on hit, that's powering up your health, and yes, this works even when you're at full, so it's powering the Starlight aspect. And what is the natural ultimate form of life on hit? The changed and buffed Andariel's Mythic Unique for a silly amount of life on hit. This means that A, this build becomes the tankiest goddamn build in the universe because it's literally impossible to die. You have so much damage reduction that nothing can one-shot you, and then nothing can kill you any slower than that because every, 0.1 seconds, you are healing for multiple times over 100% of your health. It's hilarious. I can just stand and face tank the Flaming Butcher and he can't even hurt me. In any case, this is the secret sauce, and it does ultimately mean that to play this peak form of endgame chain lightning, you do need andariels, which being it's a mythic unique, yes, I know that sucks. We always include non-mythic unique versions of our builds here, because not everyone has time to farm them. But sometimes a build just literally requires the effective one, and there's not really a way around that. Now, obviously here you can just use normal life on hit affixes, and you'll create a similar result, but it's hard to compete with the level of it that Andariels provides on top of, the juicy poison damage that can start stacking up and ticking for 100 million a second with just how often you're applying it with the lucky hit we're squeezing out here. So with that all said then, let's get into building peak chain lightning in the way that at the very least my testing has, shown to be best. Skill tree then from me to thee. Beginning with our familiar friend Firebolt, 2 points, and yes, enchantment slot, we need that lovely burning damage increase from the Devouring Blaze, the Paragon, you know how it goes. Over to your cause, where we put maximum points in chain lightning, given it's doing the damage, then over to enhanced, and then finally greater chain lightning so it can do more of the damage. We don't need it to generate crackling energy, that would be a waste. 1 into devastation so we can max out elemental dominance, as yes, as insane as it feels to say, with a build that spends this much mana, most of your chain lightnings will be cast above 50, so we might as well collect the free damage bump. Then just 1 point into charge bolts, and then enhanced. This is just a little damage increase. We have 100% unstable currents uptime, so we're always churning out random charge bolts, so they might as well hit harder. We don't really have anywhere better to put these 2 points, so it is what it is. Over to defensives, where we have 1 point in Flame Shield just to get it, though it should be said, I mainly have this to ignore echo attacks in pits, so I don't take stacks. You don't need this. You're unkillable with or without being literally immune, so it's really a preference thing. You can save the point here and instead put Ice Blades on and just get more stacks of Conjuration Mastery, and you will be good. So that's the option that you do have. For now, though, I will put it back, and we get our teleport into enhanced and then shimmering. More damage reduction never hurts, in fact quite literally does the opposite, and then 3 out of 3 into your glass cannon for free damage. Get your ice armor, take it to enhanced, and then very importantly get mystical. There's actually a little bit of a weird interaction right now between mystical ice armor and the storm swell aspect. If you have ice armor on while a boss is staggered, you will do a metric ton more damage as they are ramping each other up. It's really quite good, but we'll get into that a little bit later. In any case, we then move on to our conjurations, where we get our double defensives of mana shield and protection as usual. Then we want to fill out our lucky hit, as it certainly does help. More poison procs, it's nice to have, and again, nowhere else better for the points. 3 out of 3 into conjuration mastery, always lovely to have as many stacks of this as possible in essentially every sorcerer build. Lightning spear, 2 enhanced, and then invoked for the stunning, and then Ice Blades into enhanced, and then summoned for the cooldown reduction, and indeed that goes into our second enchantment slot just to make everything play a lot faster. Over to Mastery, where we get Inner Flames into Devouring Blaze for that lovely burning crit synergy. We want 1 rank of static discharge, just so all of the ridiculous amount of chain lightnings we're doing generates some crackling energy, literally just for the charged glyphs, 15% multiplicative more damage. That's the only reason. We have the space to have that glyph, we could easily keep it fully powered all the time with just this 1 skill point, so we might as well. Then we put 1 point into Ball Lightning and 1 into Enhanced, same reason of Charged Bolts, there's nowhere else better for the points to go, so we may as well have them. Then we go over to our ultimates, where we get Unstable Currents along with its attack speed upgrade, and then finally causing Currents into Electrocution for the DR. Then we get Via's Mastery in its lovely buffed Season 5 form. That then is that as far as skills are concerned. On to your gear then, where you're probably already looking at it and going, are you kidding me? 4 Mythic Unique, get out of here. I know. Obviously, you can play this build without them, or at least definitively without 3 of them. Andariels is a pretty damn core to the whole loop, though again, you can just run with a couple of life on hit affixes and have a very similar, just a bit weaker effect until you find Andariel. In any case, let me explain everything before we pull out the Mythic Unique pitchforks. In any case, we do have alternate options down here prepared for you too. So when it comes to normal legendaries, this build only runs 3 of them, as you can see. First of all, we have the boots. Here, you want Orange Herald. This is what will give us permanent unstable currents uptime, which is a lovely huge damage and attack speed increase, and that's all lovely. On your offhand, we want that Storm Swell, so we can have that lovely interaction with Ice Armor, on top of it just being, one of our best damaging aspects. Finally then, on your necklace, we have that other star of the show, Starlight, for that massive amount of mana coming in as we heal. It has to go on a necklace because both our rings are taken, though that said, there will be an alternate option for you very soon. Then, unique-wise, axial conduit, yes, and the thing is, I still don't have a good axial conduit. This is the same one from my last build. I would love to get a max damage roll, a +4 to the chain lightning. It's really awkward, so it could be doing even more. In any case, yes, axial conduit, of course. We want ourselves Tal Rashes. It's especially good here, because obviously we're getting the 4th stack with the poison from Andariels, and the shadow also helps out, though of course you can't get 5 stacks if you do end up using Doombringer, which is optional, I should say. And then we have ourselves Fists of Fate. The attack speed's great, the crit's great, the lucky hit is even great here, the poison and such, and it's just a really solidly god tier item in Season 5. Then, for your Mythic Uniques, we have Starless Skies. This is really good here. The ranks to core skills is amazing, and the mana reduction stacks as you use it is just really good for the whole economy of the build, though you certainly don't need it with how much mana we have pouring in, but the damage definitely cannot be overlooked. Then we have Tyrael's Might for that incredible amount of damage reduction. The movement speed doesn't hurt, and hell, neither does the extra resist. It's just an all-around solid defensive item that, adds a little bit of damage too, and essentially, again, is in every build for every class, unless they need something specific from their chest that Tyrael's Might can't offer. Then we have Andariels that, coupled with Starlight, makes the whole thing work for that life on hit. Truly, all of the other affixes really don't matter. Even the Poison Nova doesn't really matter. It's a very small portion of our damage, but it is what it is. Then, yes, Doombringer. See, the thing is, because we only have Tyrael's Might for raw damage reduction on our gear, we don't actually have any space for other defensive aspects. We have Orange Herald on our boots, we have unique legs, so we can't have defensive there, we need Andariel, so we can't have defensive there, and Doombringer is the elegant solution to this. The max life is whatever, but the extra damage reduction reduction just raw, and the effect making enemies deal 20% less damage brings us up to that immortal un-one-shottable level. Because what this build needs to achieve is impossible to be one-shot, and then coupled with the healing, you can't die. Without Doombringer on, things in tier 8 infernal hordes, it would get a little bit close, a little bit sketchy. So this was a really elegant solution to that issue. So it is a very, very nice item here, and look, it's not like it's even really a damage loss. The implicit, the shadow damage, it all adds up. And indeed, I did do some tests on it. Firstly, I'm going to kill a Tormented Grigori with Doombringer on, and then I'm going to kill him without Doombringer on, and as you can see, it's still like sub 10 seconds for both, so yeah, at least in one, you are completely unkillable. This all said then, let me give you alternatives. You are completely fine to just use a normal weapon and put lightning rod on it for extra boss damage. That is completely okay, and you will have a great time offensively. You also, instead of Tal Rashes, can use a normal ring, where we instead put Starlight as it can go on the ring, which means that we can then have a different necklace to get the 1.5 times on Stormswell. That is completely viable too, and is something you can consider. Other than that, though, we want, instead of andariels, just a normal chest with health on it, with intelligence, with something like Aspect of Concentration, or your ever-living aspect to do an impression of it, so that's fine too, it's not at all required, but andariels very much is hard to recommend an alternative for. If you don't have andariels, you use a normal helmet, something like Godslayer's is completely fine, and then you need to make sure that you have life on hit wherever you can get it on your gear that can get it. And of course, instead of Starless Skies, you want Tal Rashes back in if you don't have that yet. With this all in place and upgraded, we start to reach some hilarious stat breakpoints. I'm set at just 80% attack speed, not in combat, almost 70% critical strike chance. Like, it's just ridiculous. It really, really is. Gem-wise, just to finish it off, as we're unkillable, we don't need to care about health. In fact, the less health we have, the better, because then the healing percent is a lower requirement, so even more mana. We want full intelligence in our armor. Your jewelry, you want yourself armor, and then finally in your weapons, you want crit damage. Affixes then. Of course, it only matters on a certain few items, but they really do matter. Your boots is the main one. You need to have a greater affix roll on armor, or you can't be armor capped. Because we can't get armor affixes literally anywhere, we don't want to waste a valuable necklace affix on percent armor, we have to use normal boots, which is why we're not using Esu's Heirloom. You need that GA armor so you can be armor capped. Other than that, movement speed and intelligence is ideal. On your offhand, you want literally cooldown reduction, critical strike chance, and intelligence. That is ideal, though attack speed is fine too. Over to your necklace, again, you want cooldown reduction, and then ideally ranks of Devouring Blaze alongside critical strike chance. So I'm a tiny bit off here, but it's again completely fine to just get 3 solid stats like this. If you are using a normal weapon, intelligence, life, and critical strike damage is fine. And if you're using the normal ring, attack speed, critical strike chance, and critical strike damage is perfect. When it comes to your tempering on your boots, you want just some sort of mobility option, raw movement speed, teleport cooldown, that's all fine, it's not really important, and then either freeze or immobilize is ideal. On your weapons, you want chance to cast Chain Lightning twice, then either critical strike damage or vulnerable damage, same as I've got here. Finally then, on your necklace, you want either vulnerable or critical strike damage, and then unstable currents cooldown reduction. Masterworking wise, there is nothing like critical you need to hit in order for this to work, thankfully, so you just want to hit the usual best options, like cooldown reduction, like ranks to the core skills, and so on and so forth. So that's the raw setup done then. I, of course, have tried my best to give you all the alternate versions if you don't have all the mythic uniques, and I still look forward to comments being like, "Oh, it's mythic uniques? Ah, fuck you!" who haven't actually listened to any of the words I've said and have just skipped to the item section of the video, but hey, that is fine. That's a very small minority. Most of you actually, you know, listen to the build because you want to know about the build, and I really do appreciate that because a lot of time and energy goes into making them, and I just love this class and theory crafting it. In any case, how to play it. It's shockingly simple. You just hold Chain Lightning. It really is it. You press every button, off cooldown, and hold Chain Lightning. There really is not a lot of nuance. However, there is a little bit of nuance, which we will go into then. The two main things is obviously because your Chain Lightning rotates round you half the time, you will do more damage stood next to the target, so the ringing Chain Lightning can also hit. It seems fairly obvious, but it's worth me saying that. Stand on top of the thing that you want to die, and it will die quicker. Then, finally, we have the interaction between Ice Armor's 15% multiplicative increase to frozen enemies, a staggered boss, and the Storm Swell aspect. So these two together on a staggered boss multiply each other up and you do way more damage. It's hard to show you here because it's just the training dummy, but essentially this build will stagger very, very quickly, and then as soon as that stagger happens, press Ice Armor and treat it like a DPS cooldown. Save it for that. You don't need it for survivability, so when you're really fighting a boss, this build you're spamming everything but Ice Armor, and then specifically only using Ice Armor when the boss is staggered. Cool, let's Paragon. Starting with the basic board, and yeah, that is 8 glyphs active. It is kind of ridiculous. Follow me step for step. Up and right through your elementalist to the glyph slot where we get reinforced, and then erudite and elemental balance. Activate it with the willpower. Up into enchantment master. Very sort of standard layout to begin with. Heading left initially for elementalist, and then right to the glyph where we get an activate elementalist with elemental balance and erudite. Heading out to the erudite. We get ourselves Burning Instinct in its usual orientation. Initially going straight across to this dex, we will poke up and grab the extra damage reduction from Safeguard and the magic nodes around it. Then we want to head down, get ourselves Cinders, grab all of the decks we can along the way, get to the glyph where Destruction is here and fully powered up, also grabbing Smoldering Embers so we can get to the extra decks. Then we want to head right and down to leave into the next board, which is going to be your Frigid Fate board. We want to head all the way down initially to the weakness node. We want to go left and then get an activate unleash. This really isn't for the mana help, it's just for the 8% more damage, as there isn't much of a better choice. Get it activated with chilling and then continue to this dex round and to Frigid Fate. Then we want to head over and grab guarded as we go along, and then into the next board, which is going to be your elemental summoner. Arrange it so the glyph is just above the middle, and then head straight towards it, going up and through Conjurer to get to it. This is where Charged is, and it's why we have that 1 point for generating crackling energy, because this will keep it fully active at 15%, which is a lovely damage increase. Then we want to head up from the glyph slot into the next board here, which is going to be your Ceaseless Conduit board with the glyph in the bottom right as we go up and place and activate Flame Feeder. We may as well grab Galvanic Catalyst just for the lightning damage as well, and then we go again once more right into this board, the Static Surge with the glyph as close as it can be just to get and activate Tactician. We also get Incapacitate because we may as well. Then lastly, we have the right of Elemental Summoner, like so, where we just activate another glyph, heading down to it, getting the dex to do so, and this is your exploit. Got a few spare points, so grabbed a little bit of extra dex, which you can do, but most importantly, yeah, 8 glyphs active, and a really healthy Paragon board. So there you have it then, everyone. The endgame fully min-maxed Chain Lightning that has been so heavily requested, and I hope now you understand why it took a little bit of time and why I didn't want to release it so soon with it having such a hefty gear requirement. It really does take a toll, you gotta farm it, and then it comes to life and shines once you reach that infinite mana solution that's just so freaking cool. For now then, like you've enjoyed this, look forward to the next builds that are coming. We've still got to explore Meteor, Blizzard, Arclash, all of that goodness, and yes, Teleport Bomb eventually too. For now, subscribe for more. Like if you enjoyed this, consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.